So hello everyone, welcome to this YouTube video. I've stopped saying this week's YouTube video because that implies that I do something every week, which I don't. Anyway, I'm Mike Ingledew. If this is your first time here, I'm all about making you successful with your integrated product support and data strategies. And before we get into this week's tutorial or video, what I want to say is that I am testing some new equipment. I've got connected whiteboards, I've got connected picture-in-pictures, I've got lots of different kind of training aids, and unfortunately, I'm 54, so occasionally I do press the wrong button and trigger the wrong thing. And so I'll do my best to edit it out if I do have a little bit of an old person's moment. But I will just want to warn you that I've got a lot going on, and I'm going to try and, make it as seamless as possible. I'm sure I'm going to trigger some of you today anyway when it comes to talking about the PDFs that I'm going to talk about. So important, I've recorded this one 3 or 4 times. I've tried to trim it down, and it's a long one. So I will do my best to put in timestamps so that if you just want to skip a couple of bits and just jump to the bit that's important to you, I'll do that. But strap yourselves in. It's a long one. Grab yourselves a coffee. Maybe take me for a walk in your headsets or something. This week I'm going to look at the love of the PDF and why projects are asking for S1000D, yet what they really want, or all they really want, is a PDF. And first and foremost, I am not trying to cause offense at all. So I'm not trying to upset anyone. I'm not trying to cause offense. I'm not trying to judge. I'm not trying to say that the use of PDF is a bad choice. You know your products better than I do. You know your projects better than I do. The PDF has been around for a very, very long time. It's been around since I think it was early concepts was 1990, and then it was formally publicly released in 1993. And I've got a training slide that I use that I'll pop up very shortly, so you can see a little bit about what the evolution of the PDF. So I'm going to share some of my thoughts and reasons that I see supporting customers and clients worldwide, and dealing with some of the frustrations that many projects are feeling. I will also share at the end why I suspect that the PDF may have a little longer to live in the world of integrated product support. And this is not as a result of the S series or this IPS term that everyone's bandishing around at the moment. It's because of other technological advancements. Off the bat, and the elephant in the room, the biggest frustration when I'm working with my customers is they're being told that they have to do S1000D, and then and all the associated heavyweight baggage that comes with S1000D. And then at the end of the kind, if you like, the process is all we want is a PDF. Just send us a PDF, and that is a frustration from in the market, and that comes from a couple of different areas that we're going to talk about later on in this, should we say, presentation. I'm a pragmatist. I'm not a fanatic. I have said before on this channel, and I say it all the time in my training and my consulting, I do not subscribe to S1000D is the only avenue we can take if all we're interested in is a PDF tech doc. If you are on a small project that has a short lifespan, that maybe doesn't have the same budgets available for product support information, and you don't have a massive information supply chain. I've talked about why I invented the term information supply chain. S1000D is probably not for you if all you're doing is PDF. Don't waste your time, energy, or indeed your sanity with S1000D. There are hundreds of ways we can create high-quality technical manuals and publish to PDF without all of the heavy necessary lifting of S1000D. That does not mean, however, if you are only delivering PDF and you are on a large project and you do have a large information supply chain and there's lots of stakeholders, then S1000D is absolutely appropriate and something that you may want to use. This point of the video really is to question why we are taking all this time to invest in structured content, S1000D in this particular presentation, to essentially take a step back and give an end user a PDF. And that's the question I've been pondering. Then that's the one that I want to talk about today. So, to the ill-informed, S1000D is a simple technical publication. Okay, that may be one of our outputs from S1000D, but S1000D is solving a lot of different problems. And I'll put a slide above me right now, which is from my training course, where we talk about some of the problems that S1000D is solving, but we also talk about some of the problems that it introduces. I have said several times now, both in training, consulting, on this channel, conferences, and any kind of presentation that I'm doing, that I believe S1000D is, the title is slightly misleading. And that's because if you are not reading the specification and having to interpret what's going on inside the specification, on the cover page where it says that it's a specification for the production of technical publications, in some people's mind, that creates an image of Word, PDF, job done. And it's much, much more intricate than that. And of course, what we can achieve from S1000D output now is something that we can achieve, or we've not been able to achieve in the past. And I'm going to come on to that later on as well. So simply, in my opinion, and without having an alternative title, I'm just doing a politician sniping from the sideline here. I don't have an alternative title, so I am not proposing that I know the answer, but what I am saying is that just calling it a technical documentation specification is selling it somewhat short and underselling what it is that we're doing, because S1000D is a beast that requires energy, desire, skill, money, and strategy to get it going. S1000D is, in my opinion, a time sponge, but you could also argue that modern data, modern technical publications is a time sponge. And so I'm not sure if that's exclusive to S1000D. It's just because it's the most mature of the specifications. It is the specification that, you know, when I look at contract requirements, it's the one that's predominantly being asked for at this moment. So, and, you know, we all know that takes a lot of time, energy, money, budget, etc., will, desire, strategy, vision, all those kind of buzzwords that I throw at my customers. And so if it's not executed well, it can cause us a huge amount of pain, and it can cause us a huge amount of, shall we say, career-changing decisions. So in this presentation, these are my thoughts, and you should let me know what yours are. Again, these are coming from presentations or discussions or training sessions that I've had with several clients. So I wanted to start by asking myself the question, given that we know PDF has been around for a very, very long time, I wanted to ask myself the question, what were the original goals of PDF? And this is from one of my training courses, and you can pause and read this in your own time. So I asked the internet, what were the original goals of PDF? And remember that these were from 1993. And so I picked out the ones that I thought were interesting, because, you know, the ones that I guess I'm probably the main reasons why we are using it today on several projects. So platform independence and universally accessible, I think, are something that is that's key for PDF. But we also wanted to represent a lot of our look and feel documents that certainly when I was training, what I grew up with, and we wanted to represent that and replicate that on a computer screen. And we also wanted to be sure that it would be consistent across different systems. And in the early days, it focused a little bit on file sizes, and anybody who's done my training, we look at the history of SGML versus XML, and we talk about some of the, why we've moved into more of an XML world. And one of the things we talk about is the capability of IT. So it was a compact file size for text and graphics. We could put a degree of security and protection on our documents. So, in the early days, you remember you used to get a PDF and you had to put a password in to either open it or to edit it, and not so today. And I'll talk about that as well on my kind of some of the downsides of PDF. But as well as providing a rich content experience on screen for text, images, and graphics, we also wanted to, I say we, the royal we, like I invented it, the reality is that we also could then start including some interactivity. So things like forms. I remember one company I worked for that, they made a living out of creating PDF forms for customers. And, we could include things like hyperlinks and searching and those kind of things. But essentially, it's also about being print ready. Somebody mentioned camera ready at a training course I did recently, which was some terms from the past. So, but it's, if we're working with, we do our TDW t-shirts, and those of you who know that I've shared with you that I'm writing a book at the moment, a handbook, and the printer that we're working with, or the printing service we're working with, everything's expected in high quality PDF. So those are kind of some of the principles, or the, if you like, the goals of what PDF was originally designed or conceived to do. But then I wanted to, in this presentation, look at, so we're still using PDF. So why is it's good? And then try and have a little bit of balance about it and say, why is it, not so good? And so here is I'll just hide myself here for a second. So here are some of the reasons why, and you can pause and you can look at this, you can screenshot this, you can do whatever you want to do with this. So what are PDFs good for? Well, they're universal file format. So PDF is ubiquitous, and what I mean by that is it's absolutely everywhere. I can open any piece of software. I can, most user guides that come with modern software are being delivered in PDF. Why is that? Because the distributor of that PDF knows that, or can have a degree of confidence that whoever receives that PDF can read it, can execute it. And add to that we don't need to train everyone how to use a PDF. It's kind of become in our genetics, right? We know how to use a PDF, and the user can feel at home. So, as I mentioned just now, is that the user, we can present information in a way that feels comfortable to them, something that maybe they've been trained on, something that they are familiar with getting around and looking at. We can also have a degree of security, but PDFs today are easily stolen. You have to remember that, I think I've done it certainly at TDW Live, I've talked about it, but the, protecting technical publications, protecting data, protecting our information is something that's becoming increasingly difficult to do. There was a recent story here in the UK where the MOD had, I'm not sure it was the MOD direct, I think it was a supplier to the MOD, had a cyber attack, and information was stolen, and they were concerned that it could identify special forces people and senior military people, etc., along with addresses. And so, you know, we can have security on there, but it's not great. They are easily stolen. We can share them easily. We can share them with lots of stakeholders. We can give them to somebody. And like I said, they are not like modern viewing solutions that may need special scripts to run. They may not need special environments to run. They are widely supported by commercial off-the-shelf software tools. In the early days of PDF, I remember that when we were creating PDFs, there was only a small subset of tools that could support it. Now, coming back to my ubiquitous thing, I think every piece of software I have will allow you to export out to a high quality PDF. And of course, I've mentioned already things like supporting the print processing. They can be stored, archived and retrieved. Now, recently I did a workshop for a client where we looked at a technical documentation strategy, and we looked at some of the things that we need to consider around a tech doc strategy. And we have to look at kind of some of the long-term storage, archiving, retrieval of information. And often PDF is just easy. It's just easier for us to be able to have that as part of our strategy. And then we try and align S1000D into what we're trying to achieve from that PDF and from that strategy. So, albeit limited, you know, a few years ago, probably going back a decade now, here in the UK, it was all about accessibility. How do people that maybe have impaired vision, or, you know, maybe they also have, you know, maybe hard of hearing or whatever, how do they access information? And PDF does have accessibility features, maybe not so critical for our market, for our domain, because we assume everybody can, you know, see, hear, speak, etc. Although that being said, you know, last year at TDW Live, there was a young lady who's involved in our market who was hard of hearing. So, you know, we do have to consider accessibility type information. And the PDF is, most importantly for most, is low cost, and we don't need specialist viewing environments for them. You know, most web browsers will open a PDF now. You know, there are lots of different, if you go to the app stores on any of you know, the Android or the Apple stores, there are a plethora of tools now that you can download that will read a PDF, will show a PDF, and you can interact with a PDF. But if we're in an S1000D environment and all you're producing is a PDF, the cost ratio is actually is not as low cost as you would expect, because of the investment up front in S1000D, and I've talked about that a million times. So in my quest to be balanced, and part of my mantra is being neutral and independent, what are some of the things that I don't think PDF are very good for is there is limited interactivity. Certainly when we're comparing it to something like an S1000D IETP solution, you know, we can maximize modern technology. One of the things that I did for this presentation, and I've taken it out because I think it's a good subject for another tutorial, is you know, PDF's been around since 1993, and I put together a little curve on the technology that's been invented since 1993 pertaining to data, pertaining to technical publications, and it's quite fascinating. So I'll do that for another tutorial, but they're certainly not as interactive, not as useful as an S1000D viewing environment. PDF by design, by its original goal, was originally very static content that we often had to regenerate if we wanted to send out an update. Yes, we can do change page information, but, you know, sending somebody a PDF page and saying, you know, go delete that page and go and put this page in, it's a bit of a faff on, and people have lives and people have jobs that they have to do. But I'm seeing projects do it, and if, like I say, I'm not here to criticize. I'm here to say, is there a better way, or why is it we're actually doing this? File sizes for PDFs now, as it starts to, we start putting more rich content in and media, etc., they can become large and they can become difficult for us to share and transmit. And I toiled over this one. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to mention it, so I'm going to be as nebulous as I can. I'm going to be as wishy-washy as I can. So I've got one customer who has a demographic of user that may operate in very remote areas, and getting large PDFs to them is very difficult. And they had one situation where they needed to get a PDF out to a user, and they just couldn't get the information out to where it needed to be. And there was lots of technical limitations on that. So PDF is not as kind of slimline as we like to think. Security of PDF, you only need to go and have a look at Google, where technical documentations are being stolen and sold on the black market. And I'm just going to switch me back on here, because hopefully you've seen all of that top corner. But security and protection of PDFs, of technical manuals, is now very, very difficult. And I've got a YouTube tutorial coming up on that. But also they are a target for malicious attacks. And, we can see that somebody will send somebody what may be seen as a harmless PDF, and actually when it's executed, it causes a little bit of pain for us. Anybody who's used S1000D or any of the specifications that are being produced by S-Series, navigating, searching is not, should we say, modern. It's not the way of modern information engagement. And so, when I'm working with S1000D, for example, and I know that when I mention this on all of my training, and I talk about this to people, I have a pen and paper next to me. Pen and paper, you remember pen and paper? I have pen and paper next to me, and when I'm navigating the spec and it's taking me all over the place, I have to write down the pages that I need to come back to, so I can remember where I was, the original question I was asking of the specification. Modern search results can give you, have you tried this? Did you mean this? This could be a related result. Those kind of things. We can get that from modern engaging tools. Integration into third-party tools is challenging and clunky, but it does work. And, most of the software vendors all of the software vendors that support the work that we do here at TDW, massive shout out to you and thank you, all support PDF in part of their viewing solutions and storage solutions. I think for me, the lack of control once we've sent a PDF out is probably one of the biggest challenges. So we don't know where the PDF goes after that. I'm sent PDFs all the time that I probably shouldn't be getting sent, and and probably the originator really didn't want it to come to me. But because they're so ubiquitous, because they're so easy to transmit, given file sizes, we can just send them wherever we want to send them. And I'm getting sent stuff all the time that I probably shouldn't be getting sent. So they're not very modern IT capable. And what I mean by that is that, I'm constantly traveling, so I take all of the ATA specifications, the S1000D, S-Series, all of these kind of things are with me on my tablets, and I can look at them in 2-page view on my Android Ultra. I should have brought it in and showed you, but But when I want to do split screen, for example, which is modern capability of tablets, the PDF is not great. I have to go down to maybe single page, and then given all the searching and the navigation and interactivity and all that kind of limitations is very, very difficult. One of the things that I talked about a little bit at TDW Live last year, and Tony from TLM Nexus also talked about it at TDW Live last year, was data authenticity and ensuring the integrity and the lineage of that data. That's something I'm going to talk about. I'm going to build a little bit more on that for TDW Live this year, because as we become a more data-centric discipline, what we need to know is the lineage of our data, and how do we do that? How do we make it happen? So, you know, we all have a laugh and a joke about projects asking for S1000D, yet all they want really is a PDF. And I hope that that slide there showed you a little bit about why PDF is good, why PDF is bad. And I could have put 50 different things on there, and I'm sure you guys could add your own. And please do comment down below, and please do continue to send me your messages on LinkedIn. So I've been asking myself, why is PDF still considered a major and key deliverable? Because on the face of it, we simply assume that the customer is in love with PDF, but actually there are several reasons why projects that are asking for PDF, and I'm going to go into why that is. And below are the reasons that I'm going to come up with. I slotted this slide in because this actually comes from one of my implementing S1000D challenges, if you like, and we look at some of the issues around, and don't worry about all of these boxes because it's out of the scope of this presentation. But the delivery one, which is kind of the fourth one down, we could be on a multi-supplier, multi-customer, multi-configuration, multiple requirements, multiple supporting standards, specifications, business rules, etc. type project, and we have to be cognizant of how our customer actually wants their data. So from an S1, this is one of the challenges that we face in an S1000D project. And but here we go. My thoughts on why we still get the requests for PDF output. PDF is constantly asked for. I'm not going to say whether it's good or bad. Again, these are data points that I'm picking up from supporting clients worldwide. And originally, I was going to build this slide in one at a time, and then it just got freaking tedious. So I'm just going to give it to you on slide, and then I'll give you some commentary, and you guys can let me know whether you agree or disagree. So as I've mentioned before, S1000D is a huge animal, but do our customers actually understand what they're asking for? And I know I'm in the top corner, but I'll hide myself in a minute. Understanding what a modern tech dock is capable of is kind of one of the frustrations, if you like. I spend a lot of my time educating people what a modern tech dock is. And, yes, the PDF may feel familiar, it may feel at home, we may feel happy with it, but actually, when I think I've talked about this a million times, is that the PDF today is not as functional as an S1000D IETP. So in S1000D, we are concerned with, of course, what's on the page or on the screen, but we're as concerned, and often in many respects, we're more concerned with the data that's behind the screen or what's behind the page. And because that's giving us way more capability. And a lot of people don't understand that the technical publication today is way more than just giving somebody maintenance or operator instructions. We're doing way more with that. And incidentally, there's a presentation on our website that I did a few years ago now, but it still talks about the connected technical publication, and it talks about why it's becoming increasingly more important. But understanding of what a tech doc actually is a key issue. The opinion of technical documentation, this comes back to what I said earlier on, is because the S1000D spec says that it's just a specification for creating technical documentation. Job done. How hard can it be, chaps? Off you go. Well, and that is a legacy opinion of what a tech pub is. And so a tech pub is still in many organizations just considered a basic technical publication, a piece of Word that goes out to PDF. Now, the biggest challenge, of course, is technical deployability, operational limitations. So, or we can include organizational limitations in here. So many organizations will have restrictions on how content can be given to them, how they can receive it, how they can host it internally, and how they can deploy it, how they can control it. There may be current existing software limitations inside a specific organization where it's just easier. It's the path of least resistance for them to have and to own a PDF, and job done. It's just, and on my training, we talk about how are you asking for S1000D? How are you contracting for S1000D? Are you contracting for a capability, or are you contracting for an end deliverable, which are two different implications on how you will, as a stakeholder, as a customer, will engage with S1000D. So product certification, it's often just the easiest thing to do is create some technical documents. And, some customers of mine, they understand that S1000D may form part of their wider strategy when it comes to technical documentation. But in the early parts of product certification, it's just easier to create PDFs and then give them to a certification body. Budgets, clearly, is something that, it's just easier for us, on the face of it, it's cheaper. On the face of it, PDF is cheaper. Given some of the constraints that I've talked about already, assuming that we could take an S1000D IETP, it just feels cheaper and it feels safer in many respects that we can just ask for a PDF, and it doesn't feel like we've spent as much money on a technical document. However, that being said, I have seen projects where I've done a video on this channel before, is where they've not fully understood licensing, and then when they've come to publish an S1000D IETP, they didn't realize that they hadn't purchased the distribution rights for the IETP, and it was just easier and safer and more cost effective to say, okay, well, we'll just have PDF and we'll send PDF, rather than go back to the business, to the purse string holders and say, oh, we missed this license agreement. We now need to extend it so we can deploy an IETP. So I've talked about it on this channel before, understand license agreements, etc. Skills and knowledge around technical documentation is dying out, and specifically around S1000D as well. We can find hundreds of people who are whizzes with Microsoft Word, how they, some maybe are familiar with things like InDesign or unstructured FrameMaker. But I can tell you that S1000D skills are still very, very hard to find. And so skills and knowledge is a challenge, and it's just often easier for us to just say, we'll just create a PDF and we know how to handle a PDF, etc. I wasn't going to talk about. I've got another YouTube video lined up to talk about the IETP solution, the S1000D based IETP solutions. And based on some of the questions that I've had come in to me through LinkedIn and through private messages on, some of the challenges that you guys are seeing around IETPs and why we have to stop thinking about page-based documents when we're talking about S1000D IETPs, and what it gives us above and beyond what traditional deployments give us. So user familiarity, that's probably one of the main reasons that we are asked for a PDF, is the user is familiar with it. They know how to navigate it. They are, in my day, we came from printed books. In my day, I make it sound like I'm a proper old dude. We went from printed books to PDFs, and, we could still navigate around with a certain degree of familiarity. And, we think it's safe, and we think that it's, it feels like home. And so contracts and requirements is not something I'm going to get into too much detail on here. But contracts and requirements, because I know there's some work going on in the S1000D community to help you guys contract for a successful S1000D project. There's some work going on that, and I've got workshops on contracting for S1000D, but how often do we see a requirement that just says technical documentation must be S1000D full stop and delivered in PDF? I'm not sure I'm releasing any secrets here, but I know of one project where they were asked to produce S1000D. It was a stipulation that it must be S1000D, but they want PDF. And so what they did is they just created S1000D look and feel templates in the software tools that they had, gave it to the customer, and the customer was as happy as pig in poo. So again, that comes down to the, if you like, the understanding of what you're actually asking for. A reason that we may be asked to deliver PDF is because TechDocs, that slide that I showed earlier on, TechDocs is not really the problem we're solving. And I know that sounds kind of, oxymoronish, if you like. It just, because we're using S1000D, it's a specification for delivering technical publications. What it is we might actually just be using S1000D as the basis to, if you like, herd our sheep from the information supply chain into a unified methodology for bringing data and information together on a project. And we have the processes in place for us to get a coherent technical documentation out of the door for a specific customer, notwithstanding all of the slides that I've shown you already. Actually, S1000D is a great methodology for being able to give everybody a common goal, a common understanding of what it is that we are doing in terms of data delivery, data integration, acceptance, and indeed publishing. I've talked a little bit about contracting and contracts already, and the contracts are something that we see are actually poor to useless, I think, is what we could say for many of these. And we hope that we can guide our customers in the future in becoming a little bit more educated on how they should be asking for things like S1000D. And that's only going to get more intricate as the S series evolves and how S series, is starting to be asked for. The other one that we have here is that the assumption that's what the end user wants. And now I'll give you one example, because I think the guy is long retired now. I'm not going to name anybody or projects or point the finger or whatever. I was asked to go into an organization, explain why on their projects they would benefit from using something like S1000D. And the the exec, let's just call him an exec, that was sat behind the desk was going, my users, all they care about is PDF. They don't care about, fancy. I think the term he used was fancy documentation. And because at the end of the day, they were more interested in using the system or the product, which is a fair assumption to make. One of the things I say on training is that we have to accept and we have to acknowledge that we are not the product. We are part of the product support. And, whilst we think everything should be bells, whistles, to others, it doesn't necessarily need to be. And this guy, once you actually started getting into having a conversation with him, and we were having a discussion to and fro, it was his assumption that's what the end user wanted. And I talk about, how often we're having to de-skill kids coming out of schools today, and how they're engaging with learning material at schools today is vastly different to how I would have done it. And and then we're de-skilling them and telling them that they have to go and navigate and operate and maintain complex pieces of equipment with a monolithic PDF. But anyway, because we think it's what they want, probably the third on the list is validation and content verification. Because we're creating XML and we are, we need, I'd say to technical authors, we are not necessarily the product experts. We are and I hate the expert word, but we are not the product experts. The design engineers, those guys over on the other side of the fence are, the guys and girls that know how the product is designed, the limitations, etc., etc., etc. What our jam is in tech pubs is that we know how to take that information and turn it into something that's consumable by an end user, by an operator, by a maintainer, whoever it might be. So it's easier sometimes to give, for a validation perspective, it's easier to give that to an engineer or to a validation authority, rather than sending them XML or going through the hassle of trying to create something that is, shall we say, interactive, that they may not necessarily be able to use. So verification, validation is another reason why we're asked. I'm spending a lot of time now looking at wider implications of data and wider implications of technical publications, and why that the modern tech pub is becoming increasingly a focal point in integrated product support and a connected integrated product support, something that a lot of people don't talk about, and that's because they have no concept. They're asking for a PDF because they have no concept of what is what I call CXDX. It is terms that are out there, the customer experience and or the digital experience of our users. Last year at TDW Live, I talked about digital transformation. This year, we're going to build in digital experience, customer experience, and how customer care, customer support, how the technical publication, the modern technical publication, feeds into that. So, and kind of the one that I think is really important is tech docs are still discussed a lot in many organizations in isolation. Is, oh yeah, by the way, we have to create tech pubs, and it's not being discussed or considered as part of a data strategy, a wider business data strategy. I talk about what's our purpose, what's our vision, what's our strategy for our tech pubs, for what it is, and then we can decide what's the best way of getting there. And so rather than just saying S1000D is it, and that should be your vision, your strategy, and your purpose, what is it we are trying to achieve? What are the problems we're trying to solve? And then we can work backwards to where we want to be and how we want to get there. So when we ask these three together, we need to ask it in the context of wider data strategies. And often organizations today less so, if I'm perfectly honest, are becoming increasingly aware of the importance of a data strategy. We're seeing chief data officers now appearing in organizations, and these are corporate data officers. Now, I'm not talking about just project or product data driven individuals. So data strategy is important. If we don't have one, often tech pubs are still considered as okay, we're doing tech pubs, let's just create a PDF and we'll throw that over the fence to the end user, notwithstanding the 15 or 16 other reasons why PDF is still being requested. So incidentally, I'm writing a paper on this right now with my friends at RWS. They've asked me to help them write a paper on the connected IETP, and I think they call it the connected. It's either connected or collaborative maintainer, and we're doing a paper on why the IETP, the S1000D IETP, is a core part of a digital strategy, a data strategy, and what that's going to give us in terms of feedback. So stay tuned, like, share, subscribe, all those kind of things that they say on this channel if you're into that, and you'll get to hear about when that webinar and the paper will be available. So lastly, I think tech docs for some organizations, they're just not important. Unfortunately, as it may pain some of us, it's just not considered important. There are times when, we need to buy a product quickly and get it in the hands of our users because there may be an operational requirement, and technical publications are bare minimum. Let's just get them done. Let's get them sent out. And, we just need to get the product in the hands of the user. So it's just, I say this, tech docs must be done, but not necessarily must be done well. They are just done. So, so those are kind of, let me know what your thoughts are, but those are the data points that I'm picking up. Why PDF is still, going to be asked for lots of organizations. And those are the data points that I'm coming up with from the market and from the customers that I support. And, again, as I said earlier on at the beginning, PDF, if that's your primary function and you are on a non-complex, limited supply chain, low life expectancy, if you like, product, then PDF can be produced in lots of different ways. So will PDF die? I'm sure it's going to be around for a little while longer. I did say at the beginning that I'll give you my thoughts on why I think PDF is going to have a resurgence. Certainly libraries of PDFs that exist today are going to have a second life, a second coming, if you like. And I think that is because something I talked about at TDW Live last year was the role of AI. And let me just hide myself so you can see what's going on. Those of you who attended TDW Live last year, we talked about artificial intelligence, and we talked about, what the future holds for product support. And, at the heart of it, I called it the chat IETP, and, where data is going to be coming from, and how the product support interface, if you like, is going to change. It will change. There's no question. And I'm going to build on that this year for TDW Live. I'm going to talk about I don't know why I'm up there twice, but I'll hide me again. What the reality is that it will change, and will that happen in the next kind of 4, 5, 6 years? Probably not. But will it change going forward? Absolutely, it will change. And PDFs can be interrogated Patterns can be extracted from Acrobat files or PDF files. If you want to learn how that's going to happen, you can join me at TDW Live this year, and I'll teach you how that's going to work and how that's going to happen. And so those are my thoughts. In any case, let me know what you think down below. Follow the channel for more like this. If you tickle the bell, what it will do at the moment is I'm posting on LinkedIn when something is coming up on our YouTube channel, and but I'm trying to, on LinkedIn in the main, my customers are not really on LinkedIn. So, I post something on LinkedIn, and then, that drives some people here. But the best way to know when I'm releasing a video is by subscribing, tickling the bell, and you'll be notified when it comes out. Anyway, if you would like a copy of this presentation, you can download this presentation from our website, and I'll put the link down below. Just create a free account. I will make that available to you. You can just go create an account, download the PDFs, and yes, I did say I will make it available in PDF. And on that bombshell, I hope this was quite a long one, so nearly an hour. I hope you stuck with it. I hope you found it useful. I hope you got something from it. If you didn't, then let me know. But those are the data points I'm seeing. Let me know what you think. Speak to you soon.